And now, time for weekly show with a passionate India lover, chairman of ITV Gold and Parikh Worldwide Media. Get ready for loving sharing from physician, philanthropist, publisher, and India advocate in this week. Namaskar, welcome to this special edition of This Week with Padma Shri Dr. Sudhir Parikh. Doctor sir, welcome. Namaste.
Namaskar.
So much is happening in the world, but we'll begin with what happened in New York on Tuesday morning, Brooklyn subway station, unknown men firing shots and injuring common folks. The person, as well, we are recording, is at large. There has been discussions that after the mayor took over, rather than controlling the law and order situation as was expected from his background, things are worsening. Your take on today's instance?
Well, it's a very unfortunate incident. I mean, it should not happen, and particularly in the city like New York, because New York has a mayor who was commissioner of the police department in the past. He's a career commissioner of police, and he promised everyone. And he won the election on the promise of safety and law and order. And I think what this is happening, it means there is somebody is dropping the ball as far as safety is concerned. And they should be very careful, because not only this happened in the Brooklyn, but it can happen anywhere.
Absolutely.
And not only this is only criminal gang, or those people are only traveling in the subways or buses, but even all good people are also traveling, those who have nothing to do with the crime or gang or illegal things. And so we don't know who did this thing. And it's very unfortunate. I think mayor has to go to the bottom of it and rectify it and make sure that it never happens.
Absolutely. And in this context, if I may, the outline details that have emerged, the person based on the security camera was wearing some green vest, but they don't know his identity, and police have categorically said that they are not investigating it as a terror plot. Now, what is the difference when they do investigation, and how beforehand they can determine whether it's a terror plot or not? What is your general impression about that?
I think probably they have certain criteria or certain red flag where they can say that this might be terror plot or this might not be terror plot. They cannot say 100%, but there is some indications. So I think we have to wait till they figure it out what it is. But it may not be terror plot. So we should not jump into that conclusion either, because if we jump into that kind of conclusion, and he was wearing green vest and all those things, that creates another problem, because then you are the whole.
So in order to avoid panic before,
you don't need to panic, or you don't excite the people on the religion basis or any other basis, because that is not fair to anybody.
So let's now talk about IndoUS relationship, and India was given to understand that the President of America wants to have dialogue with Indian Prime Minister, which is unprecedented. Normally this hasn't happened, and now, as you would also recollect, we have that Prime Minister heading India who once was not given visa to come to America. So from that point to this point, where American president on his initiative, but these are very challenging times for the world. So your take on Indo-US conversation?
No, I think, see, in the politics always works at the present time. And politics works at the present plus and minuses, or what's benefit for me or not. There is no permanent enemies, or no permanent person who's kind of discarded, or there is no permanent friends. So that's why in politics we should not get surprised that because Narendra Bhai was not given visa 15 years ago, it means America will not respect him forever. No, it all depends on what is today's situation.
Absolutely.
And today the Indian economy is the third largest economy. Prime Minister Modi has a great leadership. He has a great respect in the world. and he has a unique situation where he close to the Russia too, and therefore I think what Biden or American administration wants to do is to make or take some advantage of his goodwill towards Russia. And I think probably that was one reason why he called for this virtual meeting. And number two, they also worry about this Indo-Pacific Pact. That's why Quad was formed. And they want to make sure that Chinese aggression on the maritime claims should not go unanswered. And for that, India is most important country because India is situated very close to the Indian Ocean and close to the Australia and other south countries. And therefore, I think these are the two reasons why.
But in general, the American press was expecting that American president would make a point to India to stop buying from Russia.
They did it. Actually, President did in his virtual meeting. He suggested, but only one democracy or one sovereign country's head can only say in so many words to the other head. So I'm sure he said it. That's why our Foreign Minister Jaishankar answered it that okay, you are looking at us, we buy only 2% of the oil, while look at the European countries, your NATO countries or friend, they are buying almost 30%. So I think this subject was raised.
And it was handled properly.
It was handled very nicely by Jaishankar. Yeah.
Right. So overall, in India, many analysts are looking at position of India as far as international affairs and its relationship with respect to superpower like America is concerned, that it has arrived at a spot where it is not going to accept being dictated.
No sovereign country should let anybody dictate them. They should do what is in their interest, and what India is doing is perfectly correct, because that's India's interest to criticize the human rights violation and killing and all those things, and that what Prime Minister is doing it. But it's India's economic interest to have this oil from the Russia or good relation with the Russia, because 80% of the Indian army equipment and planes and fighters and everything, it's Russian made or Russian technology. So in long run, we need Russia for continue to maintain our army. And therefore, I think what India Prime Minister is doing it is the right thing. It's a good for India's interest. And he already offered that. He already told Putin in his conversation. Prime Minister told that he already mentioned or insisted Putin that he should come to some kind of dialogue and come to the conclusion and stop this war.
Yeah. So, staying about the reference of war with this reference, we don't see any end in sight for now. Do you see anything?
No, because what will happen is, with this war, I think it was miscalculation on the part of the Putin. He thought that in 1 week or 10 days they will take over the Kyiv and a couple of big cities and change the regime of their own choosing, and that will be end of the Ukraine solution problem. But it seems to be Ukrainian people I think is much more self-respected, and they want their Ukraine independent, and they are fighting. And I think NATO also prepared them before invasion happened, prepared the Ukraine military very well, except short of giving the NATO themselves their own plane. So I think Ukraine was well fortified to resist Russia in conventional warfare. Of course, Russia can throw one nuclear bomb and finish everything in no time, but I don't think Russia will do that, because then somebody will throw on Russia, right? So that's out of question. but I think their calculation was wrong. So now they are trying to take over the southern tip of the Ukraine, southeast tip of the Ukraine, to open up the corridor from Russia to Black Sea. But again, what will happen is they can win. War can stop, but then war can go on because the Ukrainian people who lives there may resist, and it's easy to win the war, but it's not easy to continue the occupation of the people, those who do not like you.
Absolutely. So overall, it seems that we are pushed as a world towards something which is not really helping anybody, or maybe there are some defense trade happening which would benefit USA in some way. We don't know if there are rumors or reports like that, but looking at India's neighboring country, Pakistan, and Prime Minister Imran Khan, then Prime Minister Imran Khan, it was his last visit to Russia the day this Ukraine aggression began. Now, talk to me about your take on the way the new Prime Minister has taken over.
I think in Pakistan, because its economy is so bad, his people suffering, people has a lot of difficulties, they have a lot of international debt, and therefore I think Prime Minister Imran Khan was handling the whole situation, administration or governing was very poor, and therefore I think people were uneasy, army was uneasy, and that's why probably there is a no confidence vote, and the way Imran behaved was unconstitutional, but again Supreme Court intervened and everything kind of settled down. And now let's see how this new government works. Usually, historically, this new government is usually more friendly to India than other government.
Yeah, so their initial statements are not in sync with what you're saying. Probably they want to also establish that they'll raise the issue of Kashmir and all that. And the background of current Prime Minister also is not very clean in terms of he has led Punjab as Chief Minister. That was when parallel to him, his brother was leading Pakistan.
Right.
And this again is like a family continuing.
Right, and this government is only for 1 year anyway, because by law, the next year they have to conduct the election. So this is for 1 year government, temporary government.
And now, very briefly, we'll look at the way Ram Navami celebration was hampered at several places. They say maybe in 100 cities in different states. The procession of Bhagwan Ram, there was stone pelting, and at some places they were attacked also. And now, there are both kind of reports. From some places they say that because of the slogans, some places they were unprovoked but attacked because. So talk to me about this. Gives a very different kind of optics of the kind of harmony which you would want to be existing in India for growth.
Well, I think India now is in 21st century. India is the third largest economy. India is progressing well. India is well-educated, young population. So I think I personally wish that India should not bog down or waste energy for certain small, certain thing which is kind of, though it's important to some, but it's not very important to nation at large. And therefore, I think everyone should live in harmony, respect each other, respect each other's religion, and respect each other's religious tradition. Then I think, because India is a country with so many diverse religion and culture, so we have to learn to live together, and that's the way it should be.
Absolutely. Those are the words of wisdom and words of peace coming from Padma Shri Dr. Sudhir Parikh. And as we conclude today's edition, what would you like to add further?
Well, dear friends, again, we all pray that Ukraine-Russia war should end sooner than later. Our Prime Minister had very productive and fruitful meeting with the President Biden. Prime Minister was very clear and very forthcoming about his role in stopping this war with between Ukraine and Russia. We all proud of our Prime Minister Narendra Bhai Modi, and we hope that new government of Pakistan will stay with us on the friendly relations. And again, COVID is still not gone. As of yesterday, in Philadelphia, they reintroduced the mask in indoor setting. So be careful, particularly in the indoor gathering, large gathering, and be safe and be healthy. God bless America. God bless India. God bless Indian American community. We'll see you next week. Till then, goodbye.